So this is my story to you. There's a gap in between. So it's like to you by me. So whenever I feel that something is very difficult for me to present an idea in front of the company or to teach in the classroom, I always go back to my school time and remember my teacher who actually helped me. And 2001, when I finished my 12th, and my brother, who actually introduced me to Fine Arts Baroda, because I would like to also tell you that I'm a slow learner, still today. I do take lots of time to learn at my work, in my class, at my home, with people. So I used to draw a lot. So 2001 to 2003 is one of the most difficult time for me, challenging, and also the biggest learning of my life. So because I used to draw and I used to make more statues of all the characters on the newspaper, like Divya Bhaskar, Sandesh and all we used to get. Because that's the only time pass we used to get the home. Because when you don't know how to read, or Ubi Chavi and Adi Chavi and that crossword, so I said, let's start making mustaches to everyone. That's a fun job. So my brother said, you should get into fine arts, study drawing and designing. I never felt shy to talk to people. I never felt shy to ask questions, as many as I can if I'm confused. So I wanted to study fine arts 2001 to 2003. I failed every year. First time for clay modeling, second time what is the logo designing, third time what is art history. Because the history we study in school is different, then the study in arts is completely different. What did I do for that 3 years? Because every job interview I go, they ask, what was your gap? What were you doing for 3 years? So my father was a carpenter, so I used to assist him as a carpenter. That was our rule. We had a small shop in Makarpura, so I will learn wood carving. I said I will not make furniture. That's my heart is not lying. So I will learn like wood carving. I will carve people. There's one of the most important thing I'll tell you because of a slow learning. I learned everything from the movies. And the first movie was introduced to me by my father was Geet Gaya Pattarone. And I was like, my God, those sculptures and fine arts and this wood carving, I'm gonna carve myself. Second thing, I spent a lot of time with my mother. My mother also come from a very humble background from Rajasthan. So to survival and to also to take care of the family, she used to stitch clothes and also make lots of gotapati work in Rajasthan. So I learned how to do detail stitching with her. So I wanted to always try something two opposite thing, which also attracts each other. One is like completely wood. Second thing is stitching. So this was the last 3 years I did. And then this was happened. I joined the fine arts in 2004. Finally, I took applied arts. And then I was applying for my job because I want to start earning. When you're coming from a background where money and education both are important and you have to sustain. So I got a job in Elephant Design Pune and I was about to join and one of my friend from my class, she filled my from the NID. I did not because we could not afford. I did not have any awareness about the institute. Also, we were very limited about the exposure of like what kind of design we can learn after fine arts. So she filled the form. The day I got the NID admission, I rejected my job. The same day she became Miss India. She's from Baroda, Tanvi Vyas. So she's the one who paid the 800 rupees for my form, not me. And then slowly, slowly, I also mentioned below languages. Because imagine the person who's studying A, B, C, D in 8th standard and going to fine arts and NID. And when you're sitting with a group of people and they say, oh, we had, amazing sports day in our school. We used to go to like play this, gymnastics and cricket and all. And I will say, हमारे यहाँ PT होती थी. The teacher will take you out for half an hour and they will say, Scott Saudan, Vishram and done. So it was just the language was the barrier, but not the learning. I always stayed curious to learn about new things. And then after NID, I also went to Fordsheims University in Germany to learn about jewelry. That was not my plan. That was done by the exchange semester for the NID after seeing the work. Coming from a very place where I never imagined, because dream was not allowed to me. We were coming from the family that we will educate ourselves to become BA or BEd, and then we'll start a shop or a hardware shop or furniture shop. But then these are the brands I worked with. In last 15 years, I worked with Titan. I in between joined Amazon, CaratLane, Sabyasachi, and Aura. So this is my home ground, and this is to all of you because I learned from Baroda a lot, and I belong to this place. What kept me moving in my life is one of the most important part, not only the work, but when I started teaching or sharing my experience, let's go with that, in different institute in India, NID, IIM, IIT, and NIFT. This sensitivity. People always told me while working that you're very sensitive. First, I used to feel like, oh, is it a negative thing, or it's a wrong thing, or a right thing? But then I started looking at things that I'm very sensitive towards my work. Second thing, emotion and empathy. What we learn in design school and art school, that if you don't have empathy, if you don't have emotions, you cannot design. For example, as a product designer, I'll give you a very brief story that 2022, we went to Delhi to design a beautiful collection for Raga ladies. And Raga is completely a ladies brand for Titan. And we spoke about confidence, feminine quality, beauty, elegance. But I always make sure I meet the consumer I'm designing for. I want to know who they are, where they come from, how they live. And when I was meeting lots of people around India, I will not mention lots of things, that the story behind every house is different. And what people wear on their body as a jewelry or accessory or clothes, they actually express what they want. So that was one of the learning. And so emotion and empathy always help me. And the last thing, curiosity. Every time I meet someone, if I'm sitting with Pooja or ma'am, when they are talking something, they always mention few words. And I always write those words in my phone or in my book, because words help me a lot to learn in my life and to design and draw better. But this is the thing happened to me. When I go back and my product is not happening the way I'm looking, the class is not happening they should be, that you should give a chance to students to speak, because they are the future of this country. So emotion, empathy. But I also get angry. I also get frustrated. I'm also a human being. I also lose patience. But how do I use those energy? I start drawing. I go back to 2001 to 2003, where I was not able to achieve my dream or my goal or my wish to study fine arts. What kept me moving in my life was my drawing, my illustration. So till today, every day before going to bed, for half an hour, I will draw something. And how will I draw? I'll just take a paper and a pen and put my pencil or a pen in the center of the paper. I start thinking, what happened? People are good in writing, but I'm not. But I can draw and I can express. So whatever I read, the last drawing, what you see, the Azad Shatru, from the very famous novel from Acharya Chatur Sen ki Nagarvadhu Amrapali. Or the first is basically Eklavya. And also architecture, because of the movies, inspires me a lot. So I like constructions. I like to see the details in between. This is a small 2001 to 2003, when I used to sketch a lot, lots of people used to tell me, you're wasting your time. Why don't you join BCom? Why don't you start working? Why don't you have your own shop of furniture or carpenter or kind of things? But I will share the secret that whatever you do is never goes waste. I was sketching so much that I start writing in a sketching way, that I'm coming from a watch background where nobody has worn a watch in my house. And then when I was going for the title interview in 2011, and our MD asked, how many watches do you own? I said, zero. हमारे घर पे एक दीवाल घड़ी है, Ajanta clocks. That's the 1980s. In 90s, people used to have like family में एक one watch is enough for everyone. So when I started drawing, 2000, almost like 17, 18, I thought, I'm done with watches. I want to explore something. And then Carrot Lane happened to me. I start posting my sketches every day on Instagram, not to show people, but to inspire people that, yes, you can draw whatever thoughts to come to you. And Carrot Lane MD Mithun Sancheti, he approached me and he said, let's work together. And my drawing took me there to design a jewelry brand for them, and gold and diamond. But they also realized I'm not a jeweler. I'm basically product designer. So I did lots of mistakes. And then he said, okay, why don't you start a silver brand for me? Because material cost is a little cheaper. You will not destroy the gold. So I said, okay. So this was the drawings I did for Shaya. And these are the kind of jewelry. I always look up to my mother, because she was one of the, also a bread earner and also the homemaker with my father. My father was running a factory for the furniture. She was running the house with 5 kids. So I thought she was powerful, confident. She used her own weapons of calm and patience. So I took a story called the first collection story was Shining Armor, armor which women use, weapon, of hard work, taking care of family, kids. So it was fun to me, and I started taking inspiration from Indian history of weaponaries. So this was one of the hit collection of Shaya when we launched after 2018, and still today people buy a lot. This is the last project I did with Titan. I was head Nebula design team. I think you have seen this project a lot on Instagram last few days where Mr. R. Madhavan was wearing. This product looks very good when everybody's appreciating Indian art and all, but there's a huge story behind it. Like how the whole detailing got made. I'll go one slide ahead. So if you see Mr. Padma Shri Shakir Ali, painting artist, miniature painting artist from India, he was running a workshop in Delhi. And he said, I'm giving a free workshop to lots of people if you want to learn a miniature painting. And we all went from Titan. And we were learning. And that time the idea got clicked in 2017 or 16. Why don't we create a watch, completely handcrafted? Miniature has a history and great history of Indian art and Indian paintings. So then we started working with them, and and also he's 75 plus. So when I say 75 plus here, the vision, also sitting for longer hours, and the diameter of the dial is not more than 34, 35 mm. It's like just little bit bigger than your 1 rupee coin. And telling the whole story of Hawa Mahal, which completed 225 years in 2025 or 24. So it was not easy task. But it was a great thing, and this watch was designed by my boss, Shatabdi Sangita, who was heading Raga. The dial illustration we have done. Now, the most important part. This whole watch talks about the miniature painting of India, the details. And we wanted to send this watch to GPHG Awards in Switzerland, which is like Oscar Awards for the watches. Indian entry from Titan. We thought the watch is done. The beautiful case, the agate stone, 18 karat gold, and genuine leather and everything. But how to tell the story to people that this is done by hand? So everybody was telling that we will give a magnifying glass next to the watch. So if people want to see, they will put the magnifying, they will see the detail, and done. Um, I was like, this is not convincing. Because first time when I designed a watch and the prototype came after 18 months, the first watch prototype almost take 1.5 year to get into your hand. And your sketch when it start moving, the hands start moving, you feel like your baby is talking to you. For a designer, it's like a baby is talking to you, like, oh my God. I went back to home and I spent almost a week. I was like, no, this is not the thing we should do. I don't want to send a magnifying glass with the watch where people actually hold the watch and magnify. There's no meaning. And then I realized, in our childhood, we used to get this 15 rupees for Gilodi Kaach, like the very plastic based. And then we have a habit of looking at everything is like, you will have this dragonfly, and if the dragonfly is dead, you will start looking at the textures. You will look at the people ka patta. And then I said, what happened if we create the hand of the watch in a magnifying glass, and the minute hand which rotate every minute, the watch will become alive. You don't have to get magnifying glass. So then thank you. It's not me, but it's all the whole team I worked with. There's a complete like 150 people who worked on this project because there was a huge challenge. Hand also has weight according to the caliber. You cannot do. So we actually contact lots of different countries, explore, we work with the engineers. We have done lots of fort and done. Also, we thought this will not possible. When we actually lost the hope, as you have seen in the stories, then suddenly our engineer from the NPD team in Hosur Titan, they said it's possible. And then we saw the first prototype, and also this is the first machine, the caliber is made in India, is tube blanc, which actually rotates what the machine. So wherever the hands rotate, you are able to see this painting alive, the Indian art. I'll also give you a small introduction for the kids who are studying in Navrachana today that, I never had a dream to go anywhere. I never had a dream to do anything. I only had a dream to study in fine arts, and my dream supported with my illustrations. The illustration I learned with the sculpture student at the railway station, the painting student at the Kamati Bagh, or different department student. And that illustration took me till here. My habit of sketching every day, that only one dedication which I really enjoyed. If I'm sad, if I'm happy, if I'm traveling, if I'm eating, only sketching a small sketchbook with me to tell my story. So the difficult part here, I'm 43 because after working in watches, I also started facing eyesight problem. Okay. Now the artist Sri Shakir Ali Sahab said, you create an illustration, a normal rough illustration in the same size and give it to me. So that what you see, the rough illustration is basically mine. The first one is like 35 1 rupee coin. It was very difficult. And then I start giving to him. And then you can see the process of this dial, how he has created one by one by one. This almost took a year because in between there are lots of ups and downs come. We actually thought we will not be able to make the watch, but that's the in-between story. What you see today is everybody celebrating. This is just a small glimpse I want to introduce to the everyone that how the watchmaking or how the product design happened. So every year we actually study in different platforms on internet or magazines. We meet people, fashion people, like what is the trend going on. In 2020, the trend was Art Deco. So one of the most beautiful thing in India, we have more than 140 buildings in Bombay in marine lines, which is inspired from Art Deco ships in architecture. So we studied that thing. There's a Liberty Cinema and lots of small detail. So we have a story. Then we also start making a boards. Then we start creating sketches. We have renders, then prototype, and the launch. So this is Nebula Art Deco collection in 2023-24. We launched the watches collection also with the most beautiful person, Mr.Chetan, Sen, who's the legacy of Indian beauty, and also in Bombay, within Art Deco building to give that glimpse. So this was just to express that design also have a lots of story behind it, lots of demand, physically and most importantly psychologically. When you speak to people, you connect to people, you communicate to people. If tomorrow I have to design a watch for ma'am Tejal Amin, I have to feel like Tejal Amin for a few days. Like how I will go, how I will walk, how I will talk, what I will wear, what is affecting me. Then only I can design a watch. So psychology was one of the part of this whole process. This is the last project I have worked with Raga, taking inspiration from the Indian jewelry and ceramic watches. So this was the small journey of mine where I come from, what struggle I faced.